everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Bethany. If you're new here, I am a mom of 3 and I do motherhood and lifestyle videos here on my channel, so welcome. Today is actually going to be a video where I kind of go into some things that I wish I knew before becoming a mom, or some of my top motherhood regrets that I wish I would have known before I started having babies, and just kind of maybe felt a little bit more prepared for what was to come, because let's just be honest, I was kind of thrown into the thick of it, not really knowing what to expect. And so I hope this video is helpful for you as you know someone who may be pregnant, or you are starting your own family yourself. This is definitely a good one that you're gonna want to share with somebody or watch yourself. So let's get into it. So before I actually get started, this video is actually a collaboration with 2 amazing other YouTube moms here on YouTube. That is Allison Billups. She is a mom of 2. She does motherhood and lifestyle videos over on her channel, and she's just such a genuine and sweet person. You guys will love her content. And also with Madeline Van Marter. She is actually a mom of 3 boys, and she is pregnant with her 4th. So she is definitely busy like me. I know a life with 3 kids is a lot. Also joining together to do a giveaway for one of you moms. So yeah, go check that out in the description below. And yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so I actually really didn't know a whole lot going into motherhood, to be honest with you. Just a little background for you. When I had my daughter, I actually had to ask the nurse how to hold her. I really had no idea what I was doing. I did my research a bit before having my daughter, but I basically had to learn everything. I never really was around babies growing up, and I was the youngest in my family, so I just really had to, yeah, again, learn a lot. So with all that being said, the first thing on my list is worrying about others' opinions. So as a first-time mom, I wasn't the most confident because, again, like I said, I was learning so much and I just didn't really know what I was doing, which is totally normal and totally fine. But when it came to other people's opinions, I just felt like I kind of held on to them a little bit more than I should have. And even though I, was trying to figure out what was best for me and my baby, and, learning so much in such a short period of time, at the end of the day, like, you are on your own journey, and what works for someone may not work for you, and that's totally okay. So I just wish I would have just smile and nod and say thanks so much and just moved on with my life, instead of being like, oh, well, like, am I doing something wrong? And of course, like, it all depends on the person, because if there's someone in your life that you know and you trust and they're trying to help you and genuinely care for you, it's a little bit different. But I find just unnecessary opinions on things, you definitely don't need to take those to heart, and just say thank you so much for the advice and move on and just figure out what works best for you. Okay, the second thing on my list here is that babies cry a lot, and it's okay. So I didn't know that how much babies actually cry, and it's just their form of communication, right? Babies don't know how to make any other sounds really in the beginning to say, oh, I'm hungry, or I'm tired, or I need my diaper changed, and all these things. So they will cry, and it's just a part of life. Even with my kids, I have an almost 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an almost 1-year-old. So with all the different stages that I've gone through with having young kids, they still cry. Right? Like, it's just a part of life, and especially for babies, as soon as you have your baby, they will cry a lot, because again, it's their only form of communication. So know that it's okay, it's normal. I actually had my second was a very colicky baby, and he cried like every single moment that he was awake. It was very stretching and difficult season for me. I think anyone with a colic baby can say that they agree. It's just really, really hard because there's so much crying. So if you need a break from the crying, the best thing that you can do is put your baby in a safe place, like their crib, their bassinet, and just take a few minutes to step away, because I know I need my breaks, and for me to step away from my kids even now, sometimes when I'm feeling very overstimulated or just really overwhelmed. So if you need a break from the crying just for a few minutes, put your baby in their bed safely and just step away for a second. And it's so hard. It's so hard. So, but know that, like, you're definitely not alone in that. Okay, the third thing on my list is having too many visitors after you have your baby. So with my first, I wanted like everyone to come and meet my baby because I was so excited that she was here, and there were so many family and friends that were so excited. She was the first grandchild on both sides of our families, and so we just had so many people that were just so excited. And we just were like, yeah, come whenever. And we didn't really realize how overwhelming that would kind of be, especially in the first week, because we didn't really feel like we had a great chance to bond with our baby because she was just getting passed around so much, and we had people coming on top of one another at the house, and it was very overwhelming, especially when I was trying to figure out breastfeeding for the first time, and I was exhausted. I wasn't sleeping. I had just had a C-section, so I was recovering. My biggest advice is to just take that first week just and relax. Get to know your baby, bond with them, start to recover yourself, because it's a very big event in your life. One of the biggest events, especially for moms. We're learning so much, and your life completely changes after you have that baby. So give yourself some time. The baby will still be small a week or two later after the baby is born. But my biggest advice is to just keep those visitors to a minimum. Don't feel bad if you have to say no, because this is your baby and that's okay. Actually, just going off a little bit of my last point is that breastfeeding is a huge learning curve and experience, and it's a total journey in itself. So I have breastfed all three of my children, and I'm so thankful that I stuck with it. It is a marathon. It is not a sprint, and it's something that you and your baby are learning for the first time, especially with your first. And every single baby is different in their own ways. I highly recommend having a lactation consultant come alongside you and help you, especially if it's your first baby. There are so many different areas in that I had no idea happened. Having a letdown, having dry and cracked nipples, getting nipple cream, and, just how much I needed to be feeding the baby. It was a very big learning curve. It will be painful, and that's just a part of the process. And if breastfeeding isn't the right route for you, that is also okay. Like I said, people can have their opinions about things, but at the end of the day, you are that baby's mom, and you are going to make the best decisions for you and your baby. So if you decide to not breastfeed, that's fine too. But yeah, motherhood in itself is a journey, and there's a lot of ups and downs, but again, we're all kind of learning different stages at the same time together. So give yourself room to grow. It's definitely a marathon, not a sprint. Another thing I wish I would have known is to not compare myself to others. And I'm gonna be 100% honest, I still struggle with this. And I think as women, it's really easy for us to compare ourselves to one another. But when it comes to having kids and being a mom, I find that that's almost a little bit elevated. Just because with your baby, you wanna make sure that they're doing well. And when you see someone else who has a baby the same age as you and they're doing things that your baby isn't doing, you can be like, well, why isn't my baby doing that right now? But again, to just remember that your baby is going to hit those milestones in their own time, and they are their own person with their own personality, and they're just going to do things when the time is right for them. To give an example of this, for my latest baby, my son, he could not be bothered to sit up until like 2 months ago. Like he was just like, nope, I would just rather lay in one spot and stay there. Like he couldn't roll, and he was just like, no, I'm not gonna roll over. He just wanted to stay put on his back and just chill there. And as much as I tried to encourage him, he was just not interested. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's fine, because I know for a fact that once babies start moving, they don't stop. So I was like, okay, we'll just wait and see when he starts to do that. And sure enough, he, started to sit, and now he's like crawling all over the place. So again, don't compare your baby to other babies. They will do those things in their own time. And how many times have you talked with someone who's an adult and being like, oh, so like when did you crawl as a baby? You know, like that stuff just really doesn't matter in the big scheme of things. And if you are concerned about your baby and just the milestones that they are hitting, make sure you talk to your doctor and your pediatrician and making sure that they're hitting those milestones. And if they're not concerned, then yeah, don't worry about it. They're gonna do those things in their own time. But again, moving on to kind of comparing ourselves to other moms, I know it's so easy because you may see like a mom on Instagram being like, oh, like, well, they're doing this, and like, should I be doing that? You know, and you know, like, or saying like, oh, like, it looks like that mom has everything put, you know, they're all put together all the time, you know, and they don't struggle with this. You know, it's so easy for us to say like, oh, well, like, they have it figured out and I don't. And I'm gonna be honest with you, none of us have it figured out. Like, none of us have it like all figured out at all, and we are all learning at our own stage, in our own way. Comparison is definitely the thief of joy. Like, I've heard that so much, but it's so true. No matter what someone else is doing on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, and if you see something on here, just because I'm doing something or someone else is doing something does not mean that you are a bad mom or that you are not doing the best that you can for your kid. I know it's so easy to look at that and say like, oh, like, this person has this picture perfect motherhood journey and they're not struggling like me. And it is hard. It's hard to see that sometimes. But for me, myself, I have struggled in my own ways throughout being a mom, and I've struggled mentally with the different ups and downs. And it is like, well, why? Like, why do I have to struggle with this when it seems like someone has it all put together, but we don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And a lot of the times we just see the highlight reel of someone's life, and we compare our entire life, the ups and the downs, to someone's best moments. And that can be really dangerous because it's not the full picture. So I highly encourage you to just be confident in who you are as a mom to your baby, and know that you're not going to do everything the exact same way as someone else, and that's totally okay. Okay, another thing that I wish I would have known was to advocate for myself during birth. I wish I would have kind of looked up and researched more on different kinds of births and things that I kind of wanted during birth. So if you don't know, if you're new here, I actually had 3 different C-sections. They all have their own story with all of them. I think I have all my birth stories here on my channel, so you guys can go back and check those out. But yes, I had 2 emergency C-sections and then 1 planned. So I had really no clue what a C-section entailed when I went in to have my daughter. I was in labor for about 6 hours, and they found out that she was actually breech. I had no idea. My doctor didn't give me the thorough enough care that I should have gotten when I was pregnant for the first time. She completely missed it, and I even felt like my care just wasn't as thorough as I would have hoped it would have been. And I didn't listen to that gut feeling that I should have switched doctors. But it is what it is now, and you know, I had to go in for a C-section because she was gonna get stuck. And it was very, in a lot of ways, just like this, I had to like switch my mindset and be like, wow, I never thought that I would have had to have a C-section. And then just having to switch and being like, okay, I'm going into surgery. Just to research that and to advocate for myself and say like, no, like, I don't really want this, I want this, because at the end of the day, this is your birth, this is your experience, and you are allowed to say, no, I don't want this, no, I don't feel comfortable with this. Obviously, doctors and midwives have great advice, and you want to, you know, take everything what they have to say. But if you don't feel comfortable, say, birthing on your back, that is your decision not to do that. You can say, no, I don't want to do that, and do something different. And I just wish I would have had more information and researched different kinds of births, and to be able to have that information going into giving birth, especially for my first time. Another great thing on my list here is don't stop doing things that you love to do. So I know when we have babies, our entire identity kind of shifts, and we kind of are so focused on taking care of those precious little babies, and it definitely changes our life so much. So like, I truly think that you need to keep doing things that you love. It may look a bit different for you after you have a baby, but if you're able to still do the hobbies that you love, or say work out, or, you know, go for that evening walk that you always used to do before, just still do things that you enjoy. I know it can be a big identity shift when we have a baby, and you can feel like you kind of lose yourself a little bit. I totally can relate to that, but I find that if you continue to do things that you love as a person, not just like as a mom, but as a woman and who you are, that can definitely help just you feel a little bit more fulfilled with life as you transition to being a mom, but also to say that, no, I'm still me. Even though I have this new title, it doesn't define me for who I am. I am a mom, but it's not my entire identity, if that makes sense. So another thing on my list here is I wish I would have known just how much I wouldn't have like time to myself, and how just constant it is, and just how your life will immediately change as you have that baby. I wish I would have known that it is a very, to be honest with you, like I don't sugarcoat things very often, but just when you have that baby, life changes so much where you don't have a lot of free time anymore. And so like I said earlier, there is a bit of a huge shift on how you manage your time and how much time is spent taking care of this baby. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself, not only your physical needs, like trying to take a nap whenever you can, because sleep deprivation is a huge thing, and it is the worst thing for me. I do not function well with no sleep. So rest when you can, to make sure that you're eating properly and all these things, because you just don't have a lot of free time, especially in the beginning. But I can tell you right now that as your babies get older, they become a lot more independent, and things do shift and they do change. So if you are feeling a little stuck in the season as a mom, or you're kind of worried about how things are going to change and shift as you become one, know that seasons are seasons and they don't last forever. I know that it's hard to feel that in the moment, and trust me, I am definitely dealing with my own season right now, and knowing that it won't last forever is something I do hold on to, because there are amazing things about this time in my life, but there are some really, really hard things that I know that I am just really wanting to push through. So know that it's okay to love the season you're in, but also not love everything as well, and that's totally okay. So anyways, that's where I'm gonna end today's video. Thank you guys so much for getting to the end of this. I know it's a lot of information, and I hope that you found it helpful as you begin your journey as a mom, or if you are a mom yourself and maybe you can relate to some of these points down below. Let me know in the comments. Again, go follow Allison and Madeline on their channels, and go check out the giveaway down below. So thank you guys again so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.